an accidental educator. I went to New York to be an actor. And suddenly my job was to use the character of Steve to teach a generation of children about shapes and colors and words and numbers and self-esteem. I was an accidental educator. And all these years later, I'm still surprised by the degree to which I was also an accidental student. See, I learned lots of great stuff on that show. Steve's been a great teacher in my life. He taught me all sorts of great stuff. Like, first, wonder. Right? And when I say wonder, I don't just mean curiosity. I'm talking about a very specific kind of wonder. Childlike wonder. It's about curiosity, but it's mixed with a sense of awe and a leaning in and a sense of joyful anticipation. It's actually a human superpower, in my opinion. It's what allows us to get beyond the comfort of what we're certain about into the realm of the possibility and the new. Wonder is responsible for all of human progress when you look at it that way. And the great news is you were born with it. We all were. As children, we called it play. In my world, there's a saying, play is the work of childhood. And I believe that that's true. When you were on the playground, what you were doing was work, and what you were having was fun. Because children stand in front of the unknown and instinctively ask it to play. And I encourage you to remember to do that. When you go out into the vast unknown, arm yourself with play. Arm yourself with wonder. Because wondering makes you wonderful. Which is grammatically correct. Another thing Steve taught me, and this one gets a little woo-woo, but go with me. Listen. Right? The sacred art of listening. This one is so important. And I don't just mean listening to the things around you. I mean getting comfortable with silence. And listen for what comes up when you release the noise of your own mind, when the screens are off. Learn to listen deeply to your own world. Learn to listen deeply to your own silence. Because what you will begin to hear is your heart. And that is a cliche that almost made me throw up when I said it, but it's true. Everyone tells you to listen to your heart, but they never tell you how scary that is if you do it right. It takes actual, real courage to admit what brings your heart joy. It takes even more courage to listen in silence to the suffering of your own heart and to your own pain. Do that anyway. Right? Get good at it. It's hard and it takes practice, but practice that. And while you're at it, learn to listen to other people. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers to you, who is someone that I have come to realize was just a total badass, said that listening is one of the greatest gifts a person can give another person. And I love that, because it's so easy, isn't it, to think of listening as receiving information, but when you're doing it right, you're actually giving something. You're giving the gift of your own attention. And that's a huge thing, because that's when empathy starts. And that's when compassion can begin. And that's actually a really useful life hack. Once you learn to listen to the joy and suffering of your own heart, and begin to listen to it in the hearts of other people, you start to hear how much it's all very much the same. And honestly, people get way more interesting and even slightly less annoying when you realize how they're just like you. It is. It's a good life hack. Another thing that Steve taught me, this one is obvious, is to look for the clues, right? Obviously. The universe tends to deliver signs. Become a seeker. Look for them. Use your wonder, your joyful curiosity, to become an active participant in a deep investigation of your own world. Listen deeply. Search carefully, because that's when you'll start to notice all the really good stuff, the moments, the flashes that light you up, the stuff that moves you and inspires you, the stuff that rings true and seems to rhyme and harmonize with your guts. Those are the moments that are guiding you toward your meaning. Those are the moments that are guiding you toward a better picture of who you are. And when you find that stuff, write that stuff down, right? Get a notebook, like get a journal, get a bunch of journals, write stuff down on receipts and flyers, make voice memos, because that stuff is fleeting, especially nowadays when the whole world is competing to steal your attention. That stuff will pop like bubbles and dissolve into dust, so it's really important to archive all of it. It's really easy, actually, to forget, like, the name of the song that moved you and made you cry snot on your sweater on Back River Road, you know? It was Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo, by the way. That song gets me every time. So yeah, write that stuff down. These moments probably seem small individually, but in aggregate, they represent your accumulated knowledge. They tell a story that will set you on a path toward greater understanding. Use that knowledge to think. I encourage you to try to lead a contemplative life. I'm not saying you gotta be a philosopher, but you gotta make a practice of looking beyond the surface of things. Engage your mind in creative thought. Engage your mind in expressive thought. Think critically. Be skeptical, but don't believe everything you feel. Ground your stances in the framework of truth, in justice, reality, in evidence. Use your passion and your reason together at the same time, because you really can't go anywhere unless you have both of them. You're kind of like a boat, right? Fill your sail with passion and wonder, and let your rudder be your guide. If you're all sail, you just go around in circles. If you're all rudder, you don't go anywhere at all. But if you're able to move forward, your passion and your reason may lead you to wisdom. And wisdom is important. You will need it when life gets heavy. And life will get heavy. The struggle is not optional. I don't care who you are or what you do. Everyone struggles. It's actually part of being a live human being on planet Earth. Good news is you will eventually recognize the struggle as a necessary part of having a beautiful and meaningful life, and your pain was always your best teacher, every time. But life will get heavy. It's possible that it will even get too heavy to carry. I know this because this happened to me. Many people don't know, but the entire time I was on Blues Clues, I was struggling with undiagnosed severe clinical depression. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that it was sometimes very hard to work. I mean, you can imagine, my job was to be the happiest man in North America. And I didn't always feel that way. Now, I knew I had a really good thing going, right? So I fought it. For years, I fought it and fought it and fought it. But it turns out you don't fight depression, you collect it. Which is what I was doing. So I collected more and more and more, and it got heavier and heavier and heavier and darker and darker and darker until it got pretty scary. And that is when I remembered to do what Steve did in each and every episode. I stood in front of someone, looked it in the eye, and I asked, "Will you help me?" And that was the greatest lesson that I learned from Steve. It is so totally okay to ask for help. If you are someone who feels that life has gotten too heavy to carry now or even in the future, know that I and countless others totally get it. You're not alone. Talk to somebody. Ask for help. It has nothing to do with confrontational and courageous act of strength. It was actually the most transformational act of my entire life. It taught me a whole bunch of stuff. I learned to reject the assumption that our lives are not full until our dream is realized, until our dream is in our hands, and that our lives are not good unless they are happy all of the time. I believe that there's so much more to life than happiness. Life is just so much more complex and beautiful than that. But here's a side note, real quick. If happiness is what you want, if that's what you're after, get over yourself. Make your life about other people. Be in service to and of others, and your heart will gladden. Surefire life hack works every single time. I've also learned that when too narrowly defined, our dreams can become hindrances. If I had allowed my dream to narrowly define my life and choices, I never would have gone to that audition. I wouldn't be here in these beautiful hills in the rain on this spring morning talking to you. My life is actually a billion times more interesting than I ever dreamt it would be. So I encourage you to explore the dream adjacent in your life. There are wonderful opportunities to the left and right, to the north and south of your dream. I am a living, breathing example of that fact, and it is my wish that you may be too. Your life may not lead you to your dream, but your dream will lead you to your life. Thank you for taking the time to listen to a neighbor. And thank you for including me in this very important day. Now go forth, Broncos, into the wonderful unknown. I'm headed to Tractor Supply because I need soccer.